I'm not here to rank seasons, argue about the writing, or decide if the ending is good or bad. I'm making this because the final episode of Stranger Things comes out tomorrow and I am feeling so old right now. But also because I realize I'm gonna miss the show a lot more than I would thought. What? But also because I'm gonna miss the show a lot more than I thought I would. So instead of jumping into debates or any hot takes, I just want to talk about why this show stuck with me and what I think I'm really gonna say goodbye to. So I got introduced to this show, not because of the hype, but because of my English teacher back in secondary 4, which is back in 2017. It was already a 1 year since the first season came out because I think it came out in 2016. Uh, he played it in front of the whole class. It was towards the end of the school year and exams were over. And it was kind of like those days where you just chill before the end of school. So he showed the whole class the whole scene right until Steve and Nancy started to get their freak on. And he just shut the computer and the rest was history. I decided to go back home, finish up the whole season. And yes, 8 years later, here I am making a video about this show. But honestly, it wasn't just one of those shows that I put on in the background for white noise. It was something that I really was invested in. You know, I love the theme songs. I love how the title card showed up. And it wasn't just about the plot, but it was the feeling of the whole show. And Hawkins was really very real, but in a very simple way. Normal houses, schools, the messy basements with posters, how the boys were running bikes. And on top of that, I feel like this is the one of the last shows that actually has everyone watching at the same time. Nowadays, if you think about it, like everything is split. All the different platforms, different algorithms, just different niches. Everything is catered to their own preferences. Like not everyone's tuning into the TV at the same time. So when it first came out in 2016, the world wasn't really overtaken by like AI and TikTok, Reels. The attention was different. There's even a video about a TikTok on when Stranger Things came out, or how long ago it was before things actually existed in this world. So for example, when season 1 came out in 2016, Billie Eilish wasn't a thing yet. Credits to that TikTok. Yeah, it just makes you feel older now because oh yeah, 2016 tomorrow would be 10 years ago. Man, let that sink in. Yeah, so when Stranger Things dropped, like it felt universal because friends talked about it. Social media was full of it, and you could bring it up almost everywhere, and people knew what you meant. Now, same thing, but just different. And also, I think that's why also I feel the ending would feel a lot more heavier. It's not just a show ending, but saying goodbye to something you've grown up with, like a shared moment ending. And one of the most honest things the show ever did was how it handled loneliness and depression, especially with Max. So I actually rewatched the whole of the seasons in preparation of the latest season right now, and one of the things that really hit me hard was Max. The things that she was dealing with in season 4, the whole running up the hill thing, wasn't something that I really truly understand when it first came out in 2022, because I was still young, naive, or I didn't really experience much of life. And 3 years later, you know, rewatching it, and yeah, things are a little bit more relatable now that I've gone through a lot more life in that 3 years. So Max was still isolated even when she wasn't alone. She shut people out. She avoided connection. She carried the guilt and grief that felt way too heavy for someone her age. And what I really love about season 4 was that it didn't rush. It didn't rush her healing. It wasn't some quick speech or magical fix. It showed how quiet depression can be and how internal it is. How someone can be surrounded by people and still feel completely stuck inside their own head. You know, it felt really real. And yeah, I can only imagine how much it hit other viewers to the show that are going through the same things. There is for sure that people see themselves in the lens of Max, or see someone that they know that's going through things like Max. The show didn't glamorize it, but it didn't ignore it either. And yeah, that emotional aspect of the whole thing. So that's why I think when people argue about this show online, they're not really arguing about writing or pacing. They're arguing about what the show meant to them, about where they were in life when they watched it, who they watched it with, what they were going through at the time. So when someone criticizes it, it doesn't feel like they're criticizing a show, but it feels like they're touching something more personal. And these conversations get very emotional very fast. And one of my things that I kind of think about is it possible to logic your way out of something that was felt? And because of that, the final episode I'm choosing to feel and instead of over evaluating. Everything now just gets judged instantly. Ratings. I know how bad the episode was about. I think it performed as bad as or even worse than the 11 sister episode. Yeah, everything gets judged instantly, like the ratings, reactions, rankings, hot takes 5 minutes after it airs. And I'm honestly not in for that. I'm not gonna invest too much energy into that. I mean, they do give another perspective in how you judge shows and stuff, but I don't want it to fully ruin the whole experience for me, no matter how bad it is. I know it kind of sounds stupid, but I just want to be a kid again. I don't care about these kind of things. I just want to feel. Just like how I am starting to not watch movie reviews before going to watch the movie, because it can really because it can really influence your thoughts on it. I just want to sit down and let it hit however it hits. Hey yo. Whether it's good, bad, messy, or whatever it is, I'ma just let it be. But I'm not trying to defend Stranger Things. I don't think it needs defending. But what I'm trying to say is I'm just grateful it existed and I was able to experience it within these 8 years that it has been running. You know, I really grew up with it. Kind of feel like I grew up with the characters. Like I'm grateful for the memories, the conversations, and for the phases of life that it set alongside with me. Some things don't need to be perfect for it to matter, but they just need to be real at the right time. And for me, I really feel that this show was. But the one aspect that I really enjoyed was the aesthetic of the show and the music. Because the look and music weren't just for style, because they really set the emotional tone. The bikes, the arcade, the mall, the music playing in the background, synthwave, or just music choices in general. Like by now you're pretty much sick of Running Up the Hill, but it is a good song. Metallica, you see songs from the 80s and everything, the aesthetic of the 80s kind of makes you think about how your parents lived back then, because they always glorify the 80s and stuff. Yeah, and it all made things a bit more simpler, like a time when hanging out with friends was the main event. The music especially made certain scenes stick with you long after the episode ended. And it adds to the feeling that this show understood what it's like to be young. But I do understand that mixed reviews and mixed reactions make sense, because people care, that's why they are vocal. Some people wanted more answers, some wanted more closures, but some just want things to go how they want to in life. But unfortunately, life isn't perfect. So, as usual, when expectations are very high, just like GTA 6 being delayed, the risk for disappointment will be much more higher when the expectations are really, really high. But I feel like caring about this show that much really speaks about how important this show was. So, I'm just gonna think that people are angry about this show because they really, really care about it. So yeah, that's pretty much all that is to this video. Yeah, it's got me thinking how old I am now. But to all the Stranger Things fans, see you next time. They probably want to milk the whole series with a spin-off or something, but whatever, good or bad, I'll be there.